What's up, chat? Happy Friday, January 28th, 2022. I'm Gun. Twitter.com/Gundacker. Just a little stank on that one. Right at the end. What up, Scott? What up, Shadow? Patrick Reed says, this music makes me dance while standing at work behind the counter. Maybe there's one other dude in there that's a real one that's like, Gundacker just went live, didn't he? What up, Chris? Q tags me and get your props picked for the chains. Yeah, I mean, you have to kind of guess sometimes. Like, obviously, I don't know, it's not 100% thinking my love. You might notice Danny's absence in the chat because she just named some coffee. Shout out to her. She's a real. I need coffee today. Today's a grind. Whoo! What up, Skimmer? Dangling some mofo. Lorenza been snapping here. Yeah, usually the way I treat Q tags is if it's a midday questionable, I lean to a higher probability of them being out, meaning the injury reports that, from the night before, there wasn't a thought. So makes them a little bit more likely to be out that day. And, it's not always going to be the case, but that's how I lean. So if you want to, ride with me on that policy, some of those midday cues, you can start attacking some props. Like the other day when James Harden was questionable 2 hours before the game, we meditated on a little bit in Discord. I was like, guys, there's just no way they downgrade him to questionable just like this close to game time. He's going to miss. And he missed. A lot of people took action instantly on some player props for the rest of the Nets and some money lines on the Nuggets, stuff like that. But yeah, it's not always going to be the case. Sometimes a player will play. What are you going to do? What up, Jason? Doing all right? Man, shout out to you guys. Guys, was it literally to start this week? We hit 6K subs on was it Monday or Tuesday? We're at 6107 on the sub count. Like, that's literally nuts. And we missed a full day of content yesterday. 2 gamers, I'm not gonna force it. Next week though, crazy slates. Like 5. I think every night had 5 games. So to grow this channel at almost 110 subs in a couple days, man, that's crazy. So shout out to you guys, all the engagements, all the thumbs up, the shares, all that good stuff, the comments on the VODs, all that goes a long way. And then of course the prop content is doing well as well. But yeah, we have a bunch of games tonight, so we're gonna do our best to chop them up here, go game by game, kind of absorb the news as best we can, make a couple of guesses when we have to, but I hope you guys had a good Thursday night. If you played some last night, you got the LeBron-less Lakers against the 76ers. Anthony Davis had some question marks about how available he would be. Then mid-game, he goes to the locker room, and he still comes out and crushes it. But at the end, Sixers ultimately blow him out. And then the D'Angelo Russell goes down for the T-Wolves at the end of their game. He doesn't finish. So short slate was not without controversy. And you guys got the full DFS experience from an NBA point of view. But today, hopefully a little bit more injury-free mid-game, and we have more information pre-game, but there is so many games to talk about, and I'm going to do my best to go game by game here and get caught up on all the news where needed. We'll do some usage rates, and then we'll go from there. I need to get some of the coffee in the bloodstream, though. What up, Kiefer? Oh, that is good. Oh, that is... Yeah. The one time I wanted AD to stay in the locker room. So I didn't play yesterday, but I did have, several people reach out to me and like, would you play AD today? And blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I honestly don't, like, if I was MMEing yesterday, I don't know how much AD I would have had because I would have been pessimistic on his, how many minutes he would play, right? But he had a switch. And he crushed it. So if you attacked AD, good on you, man. Good on you. Let's get caught up on some news, right? We'll do the Run DFS plug later. But let's make sure we get some good traction. Key news to watch via Underdog NBA. Make sure you're following them on Twitter. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, all questionable. We got word that Malik Monk was out already. Jimmy Butler's questionable. Domantas Sabonis questionable. Jonas Valanciunas, Brandon Ingram questionable. We expect Devontae Graham. Wait, J-Val questionable. I thought I had J-Val in. Let me double check that. I swear I just did a stream where I said I think J-Val's in. J-Val's rest is not listed on the injury report ahead of Friday's game against the Nuggets. Fan is more in touch with me, so I'm sure he sees something I didn't. Christian Wood, Kevin Porter, questionable. D-Russ to be determined. And of course, we talked about midday Qs being probably closer to out. A guy who leaves the game last night and doesn't come back, and then I tend to lean them being out the next day, but we'll see. There's definitely not an absolute 100% rule of thumb, What up, Obi-Wan? Which one looks better? Terry Rozier under 4.5 assists? I would never bet that. Or Jalen Suggs over 14.5 points? Rozier over 4.5 assists looks the best. What up, Thugga? Took Westbrook again yesterday. Cost so yeah. Westbrook, and again, today, if Westbrook's on the slate and LeBron and AD are not, I'd be right there with you, man. Aim for the bushes, but what are you going to do? J-Val's questionable with an illness. Okay, I Sports Edge didn't mention that. I knew that we had an illness on, I think it was Josh Hart. Maybe everything's mixed up, and maybe I'm reading it wrong. Let me see. Nolans. I guess that's just in a different. I know I had. Who did I have with an illness? Was it? I don't even know. Does DK have something on that? What's so far has to do to non-COVID illness? Okay, yeah. So Sports Edge is a little bit behind. I'll hit a fat refresh on that page just in case that'll help them get caught up to us. But good call. What up, Sean? Zero AD, so zero cash. All right, let's get into some work here. Pistons at the Magic. First game on the docket. Project starting 5 for the Pistons. Corey Joseph, Cade Cunningham, Ham Diallo, Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart. Taking on Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter, and Mo Bamba. He's got hose calling. 215 is our total. 3.5 point spread in favor of the Orlando Magic. So one of those rare occasions where we put two really bad offenses up against each other, and we hope that their defenses still remain really, really terrible. And they're actually tied, I think, in defensive efficiency. If I pull up the defensive rating metrics here. Orlando, Detroit both have 112.3 points per 100 possessions allowed. Their net rating is within one of each other, and both of their offensive ratings are really, really bad. I think they're 2 of the bottom 4 offenses. 2 of the bottom 3 offenses. So while it may be an ugly game, it should be a competitive game for their standards, which should be able to give us a decent chunk of predictive value in terms of projected minutes on several names in here that we would be interested in that often screw us because their games don't stay competitive. The 2 names that stand out the most, Sadiq Bey, and then more so Cade Cunningham. Cunningham is coming off a stretch, at least on Fanduel, where he was severely underpriced. Gave you a erratic range of outcomes, but in his last 3 games has played 36 or more minutes, and in each game has offered you plenty of tally marks in the peripheral columns and 25, 18, 34 real points. At 7,700 on DraftKings and 7,600 on FanDuel, I'm looking for the north side of 40 fantasy points when we put that this game is competitive and against a bad defense like the Magic. I'm actually getting nearly a 50 fantasy point projection on both sides for Cunningham. So Cunningham's absolutely in the player pool for me. On the Magic side, you could spin the wheel, make a deal on all of these guys. I think they all have some viability. I'm not getting anyone to clear 40 on the high end of median projection, but certainly when you spike game one guy, spike game the other, Cole Anthony could get to 40 plus, Suggs vice versa. I think that last check when we put all of the Orlando Magic on the court together, I think Jalen Suggs was the team leader in usage, but just out of curiosity and for the sake of not telling you lies, let's go pull up. Let's just put the entire starting five of the Orlando Magic on the court together. Obviously, we know they're not all going to be on the court the whole game and together. They're going to stagger. But just as a general idea, when they're all on the court together, the usage rates are pretty even between Anthony, Suggs, Wendell Carter. Suggs leads the starters in usage, while Cole Anthony and Carter excel in fantasy points per minute. And then just when we put Suggs and Cole Anthony, two guards on the court together, Suggs tip of the seesaw over Cole Anthony in usage, while Anthony has more fantasy point per minute. So kind of hard to get them right from far out. So I probably in Mass Century get exposure to them by putting some correlation rules and player groups in Fantasy Cruncher. But I think Cade Cunningham's the true stud to pull out of this game. That probably has the highest success rate in terms of isolated range of outcomes, right? What up, Big Bino? Just upgraded my resources, feeling real good about tonight. Let's go, Bino. I hope you crush it. Celtics at the Hawks. Next game on the docket. Projects 35 for the Celtics. Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford. And the Time Lord, Robert Williams, taking on Trae Young, Bogdanovich, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, Clint Capella. 217 is our total 1-point spread in favor of the Atlanta Hawks. The Celtics, rather clean sheet when it comes to injuries here. So a fully healthy Celtics on a big slate. I will typically only get to Brown and Tatum and stagger the difference between them, no overlap. While the Hawks have Gallinari and DeAndre Hunter on their injury tag, which is a lot less names than we've seen in recent history. Hunter's dealing with low back discomfort. And Danilo Gallinari has been dealing with right eye irritation. So if neither one of them can go, or they both go, wouldn't really move a ton for me. Bogdanovich was playing with a limit on him. I think the bulk of my interest for the Hawks is generally just Trae Young and one of the bigs anyway. Trae Young's 9,100 on FanDuel, 10.6K on DraftKings. I would definitely not talk you down if you had some interest in him. I'm getting right under a 50 fantasy point projection on that FanDuel price point, but a 217 total. Not expecting a whole lot here. The Celtics a better defense than the Atlanta Hawks. Well, the Hawks are a better offense. You just kind of find the rhythm between. But Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum both have individual ceilings at their price points today that is worth getting a little bit of just a little bit of exposure to, in my opinion, for big field tournaments. Jaylen Brown might have an easier path to success at his price point on FanDuel, 8,300. You clear 40 fantasy points and we're cooking with peanut oil. And if you have a spike game where he thrives over Jason Tatum, then yeah, he has 50 plus fantasy point potential in this spot as well. And then vice versa. Like I said, there is a world here and there where Brown and Tatum can coexist. Generally, one guy's ceiling will come at the other guy's expense. So I don't typically get a lot of overlap between them, but I think going against the Atlanta Hawks, which, like we said, one of the worst defensive teams in all of basketball, they boast a defensive efficiency of 114, so that's bottom 5 in basketball. Yeah, it's worth grabbing some high minute, high usage guys like a Brown, like a Tatum. If you wanted some Horford in Atlanta, funness, go for it. He's under 6K. I don't have a high level of confidence there. I never get to a deep minute projection on him. And then Robert Williams is 7.5, 7K on DK. Like, that's an appropriate price. You need to clear 40 fantasy points. I just don't feel like the risk reward is there for me. My risk tolerance a little bit smaller here. I like to have a pretty tight player pool and get rid of the volatility. But Brown and Tatum for me, maybe a little Trae Young. I have to meditate on that. I think my Trae Young exposure will kind of hinge on the Lakers news or lack thereof. What are you guys thinking about this game? Anything in particular? Aaron Campbell says best two shooting guards out of McCollum, Levine, or Cunningham. I think Cunningham and McCollum. I don't hate Levine, but Levine is coming back, could be a little bit hampered. They look great against Oklahoma, and DeJounte Murray and Derek White, more so Derek White, individual defense, a little bit tougher. So easier path to success for DeRozan and Vooch. So I might just use that as a tiebreaker. Now, I'm not trying to spin that Levine's a bad play, but I'm probably going to lean McCollum and Levine. McCollum, of course, part of, I believe, the highest implied total on the slate with a decent usage bit. So probably give me McCollum and Cunningham. Cole is still too cheap on Fanduel. Cole Anthony, I can get behind that. Do you think Bane over 2.5 assists? I don't want to jump around, but 2.5 is light. But I think of Bane more of a shooter for Ja. But 2.5 assists, 3, 4, like maybe it might be a tight sweat though. But that's not something I have on my card at the moment. But I don't think it's a bad call. It's just not something I was on. You think all the Lakers starters sit? Dugga? I don't know. I really don't know. Last night I said it on the prop show. Last night the read that I got was that it felt like they were resting LeBron last night to play him today, and that AD would go last night and then probably sit today, coming back, and then Westbrook's usually a cyborg that can play every day. When that news hit today, and Malik Monk was a guy I thought last night, Malik Monk's going to have fun going back to Charlotte, and then he got ruled out. Now I truly don't know. Also, I don't think the Lakers are in a position to just punt games, right? Like, they're not crushing it, right? Matter of fact, they need to win games. So I don't know that, I don't know. They would have no sense of urgency if it is a pure punt spot for them. But I truly have no read on that. Maybe we get closer, or when we get on that game, we can find a couple quotes, but I have no idea what to expect there. But typically, I do expect midday cues to lean closer to out, so that Westbrook news kind of shook me. What up, Kate Johnson? What up, everyone hates Chris, Mr. Baseball? How we doing, boys, fellas? You guys doing all right today? Appreciate you stopping by on a Friday. Got a lot of stuff today, man. If you guys are in the Discord, take advantage of the spreadsheet today. I'll have the NFL spreadsheet up there. Hopefully tonight, getting ready for the Sunday football. And then whenever I can see straight, I can probably set up a Royal Rumble lottery thing for tomorrow. We'll have some fun, right? Roscoe, All-Star Weekend's right around the corner. Of course, more players are going to sit. Yeah, I agree with that to an extent, Roscoe. LeBron James, and I think LeBron coming into the season, we saw that the Lakers were pretty open about LeBron James being on a load management plan, resting more. And before AD got hurt, LeBron was resting some games. We saw him rest a couple games. But then when AD was injured and out, like LeBron was playing big minutes, playing a lot. So that's why last night when I was like, okay, AD's back, they can afford to rest LeBron in some spots. I was like, all right, so I expect LeBron to be out against the Sixers and in against the Hornets, but rest is rest, sure, but man, you still need to win some games, and the Lakers is like they have to win some games. So I don't know. It's a darned if you do, darned if you don't. But yes, with the All-Star break coming up, we have seen in really every sport that has a midseason All-Star break, some guys creating longer breaks for their bodies to recover by resting closer to the All-Star break. But I still think we got plenty of time before that should start rearing its head, right? I'm all in on Robert Williams for this game. Moving on, let's go. I hate the sitting out in the NBA last couple of years. These guys seem to forget one of the reasons they do get paid millions of dollars to not entertain and win, but also to destroy their body. Nah, I don't really. I'm not one of those. This guy's a millionaire. Oh no, he can't play in Denver and Miami the next night. I don't let them be great. Let them do whatever. I am all for load management and players not putting their bodies on the line. The only thing I would hope for is earlier news. That's literally all. Like, you know what? I don't care if LeBron wants to rest. It sucks for the ticket buyers, right? Like, shout out to my boy Noah, DFS by Noah on YouTube. I saw him on Twitter. He got tickets to this Hornets game. I'm sure he wanted to see the Hornets take on Westbrook, LeBron. You know what I'm saying? You don't get to see LeBron in action that often lately, or for the next couple years. Could be the last downward stretch, and not knowing right now whether or not he'll play to base a night around. That's annoying, but I don't have any quarrels against players resting. I know dang well I can't play basketball. I can't play 3 games in 4 nights in 3 different cities. There's no way. So I respect these guys, but I just ask for better news, Lakers resting for Sunday, then off to Wednesday. I can see that. Anyway, Lakers at the Hornets. We don't know who the projected starting 5 will be, but we don't know who the starting 5 will be, but the projected starting 5 without any outs yet is Russell Westbrook, Avery Bradley, LeBron James, Stanley Johnson, and Anthony Davis. Taking on LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, Cody Martin, Miles Bridges, and Mason Plumlee. What we do know is Gordon Hayward's out, and Kelly Oubre is questionable. Reading verbatim the information given to us from NBC Sports Edge. Oubre's dealing with a left ankle sprain. He's coming off one of his best games, yada, yada, yada. So if he can't go, that represents, 60 minutes of gameplay between him and Hayward, and potentially, 40 points, give or take, with 20 to 30 shot attempts between the two. Who makes that up? Melo, Terry Rozier, Cody Martin, guys like that. And then on the Lakers side, getting through all of the verbiage here, Russell Westbrook was listed as questionable with right knee soreness. Avery Bradley's listed as questionable with a stomach illness. LeBron James questionable with left knee soreness, not the abdominal stuff that he's been listed as probable with all year. AD listed as questionable with right wrist soreness. He left the game last night and came back with this wrist injury. I thought he might just sit just to not make him play a back-to-back, babying him back in. And then we know Malik Monk is listed as out with left groin soreness. So there's a couple outcomes, right? We could have all the Lakers in, except Malik Monk. We could have 2 of the 3, right? Westbrook is a beast that he could play through it. LeBron James rested to play this one, and AD out. We could have just Westbrook in and LeBron, AD out. There's so many different paths that game could go. I guess what everyone is thinking is that the Lakers could punt. Gun, you're not a professional athlete though, so that's a false equivalency to what? Playing 3 games in 4 nights in different cities. You don't need my opinion to know that's a tough thing. What are you, Sean? Yeah, it's too early for the nonsense. Millions of dollars doesn't make the human body. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm taking my reals here, playing at a bank. I like that. Anyway, if the Lakers are all out, we might expect Carmelo Anthony to play big minutes here. You might expect Dwight Howard at near mid price to play big minutes. Austin Reeves without Malik Monk. Taylor Horton Tucker. This feels a lot like the Pelicans against the Sixers the other night. And they would be undeniable value. They'll probably get smoked, get blown out the gym. But the actives that they have, a road game, they didn't take the G League with them. Would probably be a pretty short rotation here. So hopefully we have that information pretty early on. I think from a DFS slate lock standpoint, it's only 30 minutes after lock. I think we get this maybe an hour to spare, hopefully longer, but there would be undeniable value, and we just have to take the value through and through. On the Hornets side, without Hayward, without Oubre, I think LaMelo Ball's still too cheap on either side to not have some stake in. Obviously feel a little bit better about clicking his name if one of the big 3 from the Lakers or 2 of the big 3 Lakers were in, but at 8,600, 8,400 with Hayward down, with potentially Oubre down, 40, 50 fantasy points as well within the range of outcome for him. Terry Rozier could lead the team in real points. I was on LaMelo Ball's Prize Picks numbers. I have him at over 50 fantasy points on Prize Picks, and Prize Picks, I think they set his line at like 40. So I don't mind the over on that. If you were spooked on the potential blowout, you might take the first half prop. I think it was down to 20. So if you think that, maybe he doesn't play the second half, I don't mind going that route there on a couple of these Hornets props, chopping the game in half. Yeah, they have him at 40 for the game. And then, like I said, first half props are NBA first half. Hornets 20. So if you were scared of the blowout and him not getting second half run, there's ways to attack that on Prize Picks as well. There's not a Hornet that I wouldn't say is justifiable to play. Every path to success against the Lakers would be wide open if you took out AD, LeBron, and Westbrook. LaMelo Ball, points, rebounds, assists would be there for the take. And Terry Rozier probably have a shot 20, 30 real points if Oubre's down as well. And then Miles Bridges, a guy that we've seen play really, really big minutes. We know PJ Washington's in the mix. I don't really have a bad word to say about anyone here from a DFS standpoint, and Cody Martin's really cheap on both sides. So I'd probably have a bullish amount of Charlotte Hornets, and hopefully we get that Oubre news as well pretty soon, right? Shout out Noah, saw that, just gross that so many people overpay to see stars and they just take the night. That's the worst part about the rest, but at least have announce it in time. That's what I would. I don't know. I know it's a business thing, but whatever. You gotta have the want to and something to do it. I would never sit. These players got lazy. It's also like, I'm sure we could blame the players too. But I think if you left it up to the players, sometimes they would make adrenaline based and emotional decisions that is not beneficial for their bodies long term. And LeBron's a grown man, but if the training staff tells whoever that, hey, science says that this guy should sit this game because it's a back-to-back and $1,000 travel, but like, I don't know, there's a rhyme and a reason. It's okay to rest players, guys. If anything, if we're frustrated on the rest, make the schedule less ridiculous. You know what I mean? Guys shouldn't have to play in Miami and then in Denver the next night. That's stupid. Just fix the schedule. Let's not point the blame at the players. Point the blame at the schedule. The schedule is not it's not good. It's not good. It's just like you make 40 million a year, but you're taking nights off just in case you get hurt. You get paid to risk that. If you get hurt, you have 40 million to help you through the pain. I don't spend other people's money, man, and I don't get behind any of that. Like, they, all right. Anyway, Nuggets at the Pelicans. Project starting five for the Nuggets: Monte Morris, Will Barton, Aaron Gordon, Jeff Green, and Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic taking on Devontae Graham, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Herbert Jones, and Jonas Valanciunas. We got 218 total, 4.5 point spread in favor of the visiting Denver Nuggets. Will Barton has a Q tag on him. Looking at the injury report, looks like he's going to be a probable tag. And then on the Pelican side, so we talked about this at the top of the show. This is a team that just punted a game against the 76ers. We know for sure that Devontae Graham's not on the injury report. Like, he's going to play. Earlier, we had a report that J-Val wasn't on the injury report, that he was expected to play. But it looks like since then, we're seeing that he has a stomach illness. Brandon Ingram has a right ankle sprain, and Josh Hart has a left ankle sprain. So I guess there is an outcome for Devontae Graham, Herb Jones to be the only starters on this Pelicans team today, involved in this lineup. If that happened, you'd probably expect Jackson Hayes and Willie Hernan-Gomez to split time at the center spot. Garrett Temple and NAW fill in the gap here. Seems like we wouldn't get all three out on just a 4.5 point spread, but there's still there's room for that to happen. If everyone is in for the Pelicans, price-wise, I'm not overly excited about anyone individually. J-Val, of course, has his meat on the bone at 7.479 to get to 40 plus. On this slate, I really, really need to stretch as much ceiling I can out of 8K plus players. Hopefully get to, 50 plus. Josh Hart is probably too cheap on both sides, 6,500. I can get to 30 plus. And then Ingram, I need closer to 50. I think 40 is about the expectation, but I wouldn't have the warmer fuzzies through and through on this game. My main target would obviously be Nikola Jokic. And if I look at my early player projections, Jokic led the slate in fantasy projections above LeBron James, who we may not have on the slate, and then 4 to 5 points higher than Ja Morant. So I would probably want to target Jokic pretty drastically, and then the path to Jokic becomes a lot easier if the Lakers are all down, and we could just stack the 4K Express against fast-paced, bad defense, right? So Jokic for sure. Do you guys have any strong leans on the Pelicans side or any of these other Nuggets? Typically with the Nuggets, if they're full strength, I'll sprinkle in some Barton every now and then, a Gordon, but I'm not getting massive projections on anyone other than Jokic. I know that last game, Jokic was borderline flirting with a floor game against the Pistons, and DeMarcus Cousins came in, went off, and then got ejected. I'm hoping that doesn't happen again here. DeMarcus Cousins did used to play for the Pelicans, so maybe that'll be a little fun. But for the most part, just Jokic, not much else, Let's get caught up on chat. How many Charlotte guys are you playing tonight? With Charlotte, depending on the news, right? If we know Oubre's out, I could see getting to 3 or 4 Hornets in the pool, and then I'll probably stagger to maybe max 2, maybe max 3, but maybe max 2 in a lineup. I don't think there's any inefficiencies in prices on Rozier and Bridges. I do think they both have a ceiling to make those prices bad, but I think their median projection is still maybe a little under where that price is for me. I think LaMelo Ball has the most exploitable price if he's going to be more like the Melo we know and love and give us 40 to 50 fantasy points. They get rest on the nights they don't play. Man, you guys must run a tight ship wherever you guys are running. Don't preach, don't go. I mean, I understand why people think that way. It's just not how I think. I ain't gonna spend another man's money, and I ain't gonna tell another man what to do or woman what to do with their body and how to treat their body. Like, it's like people that get mad when college football players don't play in the bowl game for free, right? Why risk his ACL when he can set his family up for the rest of their life with an NFL contract? You know what I mean? How old is Jeff Green? I remember him playing when I was a teen, and I'm 57. Okay, buddy. Jeff Green has been around for a minute, though. He's a baller too. He's like one of the more underrated, just like journeymen that like never really get love. Imagine calling, I can't call it. LeBron James is not lazy. I even so I don't even want to entertain this discussion because it's just so I don't get it. I don't like the mob mentality that these guys should be. LeBron James, 37 years old, could bench press me? Like, come on, bro. I'm not here to tell him what to do. Blazers at the Rockets. Project starting 5 for the Blazers. Anthony Simon, CJ McCollum, Norman Powell, Robert Covington, Yusef Nurkic taking on Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, Eric Gordon, Jayshawn Tate, and Christian Wood. We got 234 total, 3.5 point spread in favor of the visiting Portland Trailblazers. So massive total here. A lot of implied points, a lot of implied possessions. Check out the defensive ratings we're getting in this one. Houston, worst defensive efficiency in all of basketball, 115.4 points per 100 possessions. Portland, the third worst, 114.7 points per 100 possessions. Maybe, just maybe, some of that is based on games without, Yusuf Nurkic, but for the most part, this has still been a pieced together team that has been lackluster defensively, and the Rockets are just not, they ain't it. And on top of the Rockets' defensive efficiency, they also boast one of the fastest paces in all of basketball, 100.9. So think this is a honey hole for fantasy points, a honey hole for real points. CJ McCollum was somebody that was on for some prize picks props. I had McCollum at over 40 fantasy points. If we look at the prize picks board, by the way, if you're not on prize picks, sign up, use code Gundacker. Don't match your first deposit up to $100. They have him at 35 fantasy points, and I have him at 43. So I had about a 7-8 point margin of difference between my number and their number right now, and knowing that it's the Rockets and him. McCollum leading the team in usage. It makes a lot of sense. I also have a pretty big gap between my number and their number when it comes to Yusuf Nurkic. I have Nurkic pushing 50 prize picks fantasy points, and they have him at 39.5, so almost a 10-point difference. So couple things to keep in mind for there. So if you guys want to jump on prize picks, use code Gundacker and maybe put those two in the blender and get yourself some money tonight. Should be a link in the chat in just a moment. On the Houston Rockets side, Kevin Porter Jr. and Christian Wood. I think Wood was the guy I was thinking of earlier with an illness. Kevin Porter and Christian Wood are not locks to play this game. They both have Q tags associated with them. Kevin Porter Jr. is dealing with a non-COVID related illness, and Christian Wood is dealing with a migraine, and he's been deemed questionable. So if either or can't go, you might boost minutes and expectations for Jalen Green. And in that front court, you might get some extra minutes from Şengün. I don't know if Daniel Tice would enter the chat, but it could get really, really weird. So hopefully we have that news in time. I don't have any strong inclinations to get to aggressive amounts of KPJ and Christian Wood, but from a logistical standpoint, like, it's just a 3.5 point spread with a 234 total. So like the Rockets are implied to put up 115 points themselves, right? So if they're going to drop 115, is it going to be completely evenly distributed? Probably not. There's probably going to be some spike spots. I'm getting nearly 40 Fanduel points out of Kevin Porter. I'm getting 45 Fanduel points out of Christian Wood. At their price points, I'd probably want some exposure to that based on the matchup, the total, all that good stuff. So hopefully we have that news with a decent chunk of time to spare. But I don't know if you guys have been with me on a couple of games this year where KPJ and Christian Wood, the infamous leave at halftime game or the mid-game injury, stuff like that. But if I don't play, if they're fully healthy and I don't get to either, I'm not losing sleep. But if we lose both KBJ and Christian Wood, Şengün's probably going to profile pretty doggone well on both sides at his price point. Jae'Sean Tate probably pushes 30 plus minutes, and then we might get some more scoring opportunities for Green and Gordon. So there's definitely some room for a value if something happens, right? Imagine keep kissing top. Really, I just don't hate on athletes, man. They spent their whole life to be in this position. I think and the organization would rather have a top player ready for June than January 28th. You know what I mean? So whatever they got to do to make it happen, and the science is there. They're not resting players because they're bored. But I can't. That's neither here nor there. I don't know how we even got down this rabbit hole, but yeah. Thoughts on Tate, Kenyon Martin, and Şengün without Christian Wood? I think every single one of them would be viable. KJ Martin is really cheap on DraftKings, maybe more so on DraftKings than FanDuel. FanDuel is 5,300. Jae'Sean Tate, I'm looking for 30 plus fantasy points on his price point on both sites. I think it's very doable. And then Şengün is the more fun name to click on DK because he's so cheap. If JaVale didn't play, Hernan Gomez was like 5K the other night against the Sixers. He's 5,100, and Jackson Hayes is still maybe we could get to Şengün a little bit. He's a bucket. So I think they all make sense individually. I would definitely set some rules so I'm not overlapping them too much. But yes, all of them would be in consideration if there was no Christian Wood. Tate looks like he lost run due to blowouts, but if it close, the Portland front court toe should, the game itself should be a very a very fast. It should be a track meet with no defense. If it's at full strength, right? 234 total is one of the highest totals we'll see on the year, right? Between 230 240. That's when you know, okay, that game's gonna put us some points, and we should probably be looking at the higher usage guys. That's why I'm privy more so to the Blazers side, because I do feel like there's a higher predictive value in what the Blazers will roll out and who they'll roll out, and for how long. With the Rockets, Silas is so volatile in how he distributes his minutes, that I don't get a lot of deep minute guys even at full strength. I'm getting like Porter 32, Gordon 31, Christian Wood. Meanwhile, on the other side, I'm getting 37 minutes on a guy like, CJ McCollum, Anthony Simons. So I lean towards the Blazer side being the safer side to get exposure to this game flow. But the Rockets theoretically should have a player or two that spike because of the environment here. And just to touch on the Blazers here before we move on, I'm actually doing like incredible time right now. Show you guys McCollum's CJ McCollum. I think I clicked toward Houston. No, team name. I'm dumb. Let's show you guys McCollum's usage rate. How about since he came back, right? We don't even have to take anybody off the court. Let's just put in the month of January. Got any preference or enthusiasm for Biyombo rebounds or fantasy points? Fantasy points. Biyombo's fantasy points was so drastically different versus mine on PrizePicks that I thought I broke something. I had Biyombo or have Biyombo at 41, and they had him at 25. It's like a 15-point gap. No JaVale McGee, no DeAndre Ayton. So I like his fantasy points. Clearly, these fantasy points are going to be tied in with those rebounds, but 30 minutes seems to be, his for the taking here. CJ McCollum, since coming back, has sustained over a 24.5 or 24% usage rate, 21.5 assist rate, about a fantasy point per minute. Meanwhile, Anthony Simons 24% usage rate. Your Yusuf Nurkic 28.5% usage rate with 1.4 fantasy point per minute in the month of January. Houston Rockets is a big spot, and that's what I mean. If Christian Wood's in, that's the same price essentially as Yusuf Nurkic. I'm almost always going to go Nurkic in this split. But if the Rockets, start rolling some cats out, it makes you look at them a little bit more. But there's still some volatility that on a bigger slate, I really wouldn't want to assume unless I absolutely had to. But if I was running like 50 or less, 20 or less, I'd probably stick way more to the Blazers side. Yeah. Like to the stream, how would you rank the Lakers if all those guys are out? Jesus, if Westbrook, LeBron, and AD were all out, I'd probably want Austin Reeves, Taylor Horton Tucker, Carmelo, like Dwight Howard, probably in that order. Yeah, probably in that order. Christian Wood and KPJ didn't go through shoot around today. All right, so that's a good sign. That's not a good sign, but that's a good indication that they might be closer to out than in. And we'll see if there's any line movement here. And yeah. Let's move on to the next game. Clippers at the Heat. Project 35 for the Clippers. Reggie Jackson, Amir Coffey, Terrence Mann, Nick Batum, Ivica Zubac taking on Gabe Vincent, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy G. Buckets. PJ Tucker, Bam Adebayo. We got 211 total, 7.5 point spread. Favor of the home team, Miami Heat. Kind of a meager total, low pace game in the Miami Heat at home. Jimmy Butler, the news to watch on this one. I jotted them down with a Q tag. Let's see if we can get an update via the NBC Sports Edge news and notes. He's listed as questionable with a left big toe irritation. If he can't go, we already have Kyle Lowry out. So this would boost probably potential usage and upside for Bam Adebayo. And then Tyler Hero at 6.9 on Fanduel, 6,400 on DraftKings would also get a big uptick in potential minutes and usage scoring. And also Gabe Vincent would probably project pretty well. I'm not chasing PJ Tucker's 20 real point explosion against the Knicks. 20 points. My man scored 20 real points and had 22 fantasy points. So no thank you on that one. Yo, Lavelle Conley, man, I appreciate that sub. Brian Lane, I think I missed that one. Appreciate that sub as well, Brian. Um, but yeah, I guess we'll play a little bit of what if Jimmy Butler misses, and then we'll go from there. But I think Bam Adebayo, it becomes really interesting to me. Cade Cunningham is gonna smash tonight. He returns home where he was Orlando. So we said that Willie, was it you that the last comment on the last stream said "sucky stream"? And then you come in here saying the same stuff we just said on that last stream. I can't tell if you're a hater or not, bro. What was I doing? Miami. It's Miami in here. It's like Butler, Lowry off the court. Put Adebayo on the court. We only have 70 minutes or 37 minutes. There's not enough sample size, but Adebayo crushing it in that limited sample size. I guess that's just from January on. So let's go to the beginning of the season to see if we can get to 200 minutes. We can't. But in this season, we got a 25% usage rate and a 26.7% assist rate, 1.4 fantasy points per minute on both sides. Then I guess we can go back to the beginning of last year, and then I guess we'll just focus on no Butler Adebayo on. There's obviously other people involved in this team last year, but Adebayo holds a 24. So I guess the expectation would be 24% usage rate for Adebayo if Butler missed, and his assist rate goes up. And I think we've seen Adebayo have sneaky triple-double games, so Adebayo, what's some lines on Adebayo? 4.5 assists. Maybe have that queued up if Jimmy's out. Heck, he's cleared 4.5 in 3 straight anyway. Interesting. Indubitably. All right. If Butler can go, he's 8,700 on both sides. Obviously, has 50 fantasy point ability, but I'm not warm and fuzzy there. But if he if he can't go, if they call him off night, Adebayo looks really good on both sides. And then Tyler Hero, we get a boost as well. The Clippers, I'm not really there on anyone on the Clippers. I'm not getting a massive projection on anyone either. Maybe the minutes for Amir Coffey's worth spinning the wheel, making a deal on, but I don't have any strong leans here. Can't play every game. Heat, and especially the Clippers side would be expendable on a big slate like this. Are you dabbling in any of these NFTs, Top Shot, All Day Candy? No, I played the Top Shot game when it first came out, made my money. I only deposited $15 ever on Top Shot, and I probably walked away with like, I don't know, 4 or 5K. So I took my money and ran. And then a little later, I got into crypto, and ever since, crypto has crashed. So I just stick with American money. But I'm not a hater on crypto. I haven't done it. But I haven't been. I did open a Derek Jeter NFT the other day, but that was more so for fun than anything. I'm not like a collector or I've never played for anything other than to make money, right? Quick flip. So I'm probably what they don't want. Gun looking for locks, not possible. Perhaps if type statements. I can't. What do you locks if not possible? Perhaps statement. Come on, Willie. What do you mean? What up, Ed? I don't like to put absolute statements because there's no absolutes in gambling, but two, I also don't like to put my name on your bullet, right? I talked about when I got certified to shoot guns, the instructor was like, I'm gonna tell you this. Every gun, every bullet you fire, no matter where it's at, if it's in the sky, where it has your name on it. So where that bullet ends up, you're responsible for it. Well, no matter what happens. Same with today. If I tell you that this is a lock to happen, and you shoot that bullet, I don't want it to have my name on it. So I don't want you coming for me. What I can tell you is the information that I have and what I would do. You know what I mean? So I tend not to speak in absolutes, and I also tend not to tell you what you should do. I would say I would probably do this. So if you're like, would you play LeBron or Westbrook? I would be like, I would probably play LeBron. You know what I mean? So that's just the way I've. My bad if it doesn't fit, but that's just like my style, man. I want to give you guys the information. I'll give you my lean, but ultimately, I want it to be your decision. What's up, Chevy? Appreciate that, buddy. Huge slates with so many Qs is tough. Elvin, that's what I'm saying, man. These big slates are overwhelming sometimes for DFS. I think that's why sites like PrizePicks are starting to really blow up, right? Fear leads hate. I don't know. People gambling for years don't know nothing is certain. You do a tier one, so do the same for PrizePicks. So do the same for PrizePicks. I mean, we do have a prop detector tab in the spreadsheet. It's upkept by Josh, and he's been keeping receipts. But even like tier one in my DFS rankings, that's not my absolutes. That's just the guys I am gonna have the most of. You know what I'm saying? So I'll tell you what I would take on PrizePicks. It's Biombo over 25 or 26.5 fantasy points. I'd probably take a shot on Cunningham's numbers. I'd probably take a shot on LaMelo's fantasy points. Like there's plenty of stuff that I would tier one as, but they're not. Anyway. Well, the vibes, the stream chat, the vibes have just been not right. How do we, do I gotta redo the intro? How do we get right? Gonna need 400. Yeah, 400. It should be a high scoring night. These bigger slates get a little crazy. If the Lakers do punt the slate, I think we start seeing a lot of coagulated, ownership on the Lakers punts, and you start seeing a lot of duplicate lineups like we saw in that Pelicans versus the Sixers night, which would increase a lot of chalk. So then 400 would be kind of contingent on the Lakers value plays going off, but yes, generally these big slates I expect a high first place scoring anyway. How likely is it to be stacking Lakers and Portland players today? Crazy we have so many games, so only two for me stand out. Elvin, I think that's very possible. We just need that Lakers news to be a little bit more definitive than it is right now. Right now, we're doing a lot of speculation. Pacers at the Oklahoma State Thunder. Next game on the docket. Projects 35 for the Pacers. Karis LeVert, Chris Duarte, Justin Holiday, Torrey Craig, and maybe Domantas Sabonis taking on SGA. Josh Giddey, Aaron Wiggins, Lou Dort, Jeremiah Robinson Earl. 219.5 is our total. 1 point spread in favor of the Indiana Pacers. I guess let's get some info on Sabonis. We knew he was going to miss a couple games. We don't know how many. It would be fun to see him back in OKC. A lot of people maybe forget his little stretch there. Left ankle sprain. He's missed 3 straight games. When you factor in Miles Turner long-term absence, the Pacers front court has been wide open. Blah 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 blah. All right, so no news is good news. And then elsewhere on this out list, we know Brogdon's still out. McConnell, Miles Turner. So on paper, Karis LeVert should look pretty decent. He did not get us there that last slate. He's almost 9K on DraftKings. I would probably want to knock on the door of 50 fantasy point as a range of outcome. Was an immense foul trouble against the Charlotte Hornets. We've seen a couple foul games lately. Fouled out against the Clippers. Had 4 fouls against the Lakers. Most of those fouls were within the first 11, 12 minutes of play. And then came back and had a huge fourth quarter there. So Karis LeVert, maybe not somebody I've always attached to foul proneness with, but lately has been part of his game. If he can't go, I mean, if he stays out of foul trouble, we do expect him to, at least lead the team or duel with Sabonis and usage here. If Sabonis can go, if Sabonis is out, I'm gonna be a little bit more inclined to take a shot or two on LeVert, but because of his newfound price point on both sites, I'd be a little less aggressive with it, but I'd still be there. If Sabonis can't go, Goga Batadze on both sites probably has a cheap enough price point to take advantage of a front court of the Thunder that has allowed plenty of fantasy points per game, and they also allow amongst the most blocks per game in the league. So would be there on that. SGA 10.2K on Fanduel, 9.3K on DraftKings. The case with the Thunder has always been, will the game stay competitive? If it does, SGA is probably a catalyst in that happening, and he's probably going to have a solid fantasy point night. 10K, there's not fail safes in line here, right? the 8K price point on SGA, to where if he just got your 40, you take it. 9.3K on DraftKings, 10K on Fanduel. You really want to sell out for that 50. He's essentially gotten you a shot at that in 3 straight games, 20 plus real points, and these are games that have stayed largely competitive outside of the blowout against Charlotte, and he still got a decent chunk of run. So I don't mind looking at SGA here. I don't know how much meat is truly left on the bone, but because this is a 1-point spread and both teams are pretty down bad when it comes to, well, I'll say the Pacers are down bad when it comes to injuries, and the Thunder are just in purgatory, and between they're between good teams right now. I think SJ's in play, but from this far out, I think at that price point, I have pivots that I feel pretty stronger, like much stronger about. Like, for instance, Fanduel, John Morant's at 10.4, so $200 more gets me John Morant. And then on DraftKings, 9,300, I believe that's close enough to like Devin Booker at 99 that I'd probably want to put some resources into getting Booker. So I definitely have a lot of guys that I like a little bit more than SGA, considering his price. But if I was getting to 100, 150, I definitely think his usage and his ability to drop 50 is going to be in the back end of the player pool, tier 3 levels. Behind him, Josh Giddey, more attainable on FanDuel. Over like a $1,500 gap in price from FanDuel to DK. So on FanDuel, I'm getting a really solid projection, high 30s. On DK, I'm getting 36 fantasy points at 7,300. I can do without that. It becomes expendable. But I think the 57 on FanDuel, we're going to put that in the mix as a probably tier 3, tier 2 small forward exposure rate. And that's really it. We would really like this Sabonis news to start pushing the needle on Goga being involved or not. Hey, yo, Vincent Jefferson, appreciate that sub, man. Welcome to the chat. J. Cole says Cade is from Texas. I think the story was Cade played some high school ball down there, and Josh was telling us that it was a pretty stacked high school team with like Scotty Barnes, Moses Moody, guys like that. So has some connections, some roots there, right? What a Byron's journey. We need some positive energy. We do, man. I don't know. There's a lot of pessimism in the chat, man. I need my girl to light an incense in the chat and start praying the negative vibes out, you know? Indubitably, let's go. Used the word apoplectic yesterday on their stream. Laufey. Oh man. Apoplectic. I don't know what that means. Indubitably, I hung on to that one from was it Team America World Police? And the Kim Jong guy he was struggling to say indubitably, and so ever since then, like it's been part of my vocab as a ironic thing, right? Gun, listening to you live naked in the shower. Let's go, dude. This coffee's on point. I'm not even. Kate is from Arlington, but he played 2 years at Monteverdi. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, what up, Vince? Okay, coming in hot. That's how you do. I don't do the most, but I do a lot. That's how you jump in, chat. That's how we get the vibe check. Because everyone drops a big fat year. Hey man, always love the content talking about basketball. No negativity. Let's go, Elvin. Yo, I got more content today, by the way. Chat, I know it's Friday. And usually throughout the weekend, it's a little. I don't do a lot of stuff on this channel. You guys know we do the Awesemo show Saturday morning. Tomorrow I'll be there with EMAC. But I may not have another stream on this channel until Monday. I might do a PrizePicks one tomorrow. But if you guys want to keep the party going, I'm actually going to be on Awesemo today before lock. So be sure to check that out. And then tomorrow morning, me and EMAC. And then Monday morning, me and Eric will have a Slate Starter podcast for you guys to vibe out with. So not to throw all the plugs at once there, but I just realized I probably don't have a stream until Monday to keep you guys updated on that. So if you want to keep the vibes going, I'm sure the never mind. The layup lines for Montevideo was a dunk fest, bro. That team that you named out sounds so dirty, bro. That sounds so dirty. Grizzlies hosting the Jazz. Project starting five for the Jazz: Mike Conley, Joe Ingles, Bojan Bogdanovic, Royce O'Neal, Hassan Whiteside up against John Morant, Desmond Bain, Zaire Williams, Jaren Jackson Jr., Stone Cold, Steven Adams. We got 226.5, or excuse me, 226 total, 5.5 point spread. For the home team, Memphis Grizzlies, Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell out for the Jazz. Memphis will be without Kyle. The Andersons got tickets to the game. Dylan Brooks, Tyus Jones. So we're going to put beefy minutes on John Morant. Desmond Bain's in the mix. And Jaren Jackson Jr. is throwing a block party. And Royce O'Neal's invited? I don't know. But plenty of exploitable spots here in terms of usage fluctuation. With no Mitchell, no Gobert, we know more guard minutes to go around and more shot attempts to go around for guys like Bojan, guys like Jordan Clarkson, and guys like Mike Conley. Mike Conley back in the Grizz house. The Grindhouse, the Grizz house, the Grindhouse without Mitchell under 6K. Narratives for people who like narratives, man. This is a slate full of them. We can make some fun ones. So if you like Mike Conley over 30 fantasy points, I'm getting him over 30. The Fanduel price point a little bit more welcoming. And then Whiteside, 65 on Fanduel, 69 on DK. Still projects extremely well in my model. We know per minute, and we know blocks, right? Jaren Jackson can get some blocks, but so can Whiteside. 2, 1, 3 blocks his last couple games, plenty of rebounds. Now, Memphis is a little bit tougher defensively than many of these other teams he's faced lately, so I do taper my expectations, but I do think Whiteside has a lot of meat on the bone at that price point, just isolating his potential upside. On the Grizzlies side, Ja Morant is just on a whole nother level. Yesterday, Ja Morant named to the All-Star team, so congrats to him. Definitely probably the most fun player to watch in all of basketball this season, when we have Ja Morant on the court with Dylan Brooks off the court. And we'll even throw Bane in the mix just so we don't get those games where Morant played without Bane. And if we have to throw Jaren Jackson, we can. But Ja Morant has a 34% usage rate with a 34.6% assist rate. Almost a 1.3 fantasy point per minute on both Fanduel and DraftKings. Morant is definitely a guy that I'll be targeting quite a bit. If we lose LeBron James, Morant from this far out actually comes in as my second highest scorer if LeBron is off the slate. Third if LeBron's on the slate. There's Giannis in the mix as well. Giannis in a little slower game against the Knicks here. So that's how great Morant's has been, that the algorithm is pushing him that aggressively from this far out. So John Morant for sure getting some exposure too. And then Jaren Jackson Jr., I think on DraftKings I'm a little bit more interested at 67. 7,600 is fine on FanDuel, but you need that 50 plus. And I don't know that this is a spot that's going to bring out the best in his block potential, right? I'm not expecting a ton of Royce O'Neal layups and jumpers and stuff like that. So give me John Morant. And then the Utah Jazz, Jordan Clarkson on FanDuel, much cheaper than his DraftKings counterpart. It feels like the Josh Giddey situation where a 7K, I need that 40 plus, but on FanDuel, there's enough safety netting at 5,700 that if you only got me 30, 35, I'd live with it. So a couple of spots that I do like here and a couple of spots that I'm a little less than bullish on, all right? Dropping some positive vibes to all y'all. Appreciate that, Dennis. What's up, Crispy? Not a lot of value tonight, but the mid-range is crazy stacked. Hey, Crispy, that could change if the Lakers go a certain way, that could definitely change. Now that's a narrative. There we go. Finally, J. Cole's behind a narrative. Mike Conley back in the Grindhouse. Let's go. Yeah, I'm sure that'll be fun. You might see I'm sure Conley and Morant will trade jerseys or something. What's up, Willie Lewis? Doing all right? Here we go. I'm feeling it now. Let's go. Do you like Franz Wagner? I might have missed you talking about Orlando. I think all the Orlando pieces are playable. I think when they're full strength, they do have a little bit more built-in volatility. I guess his DraftKings price point feels a little bit safer. Getting 30-plus fantasy points. That's his projection on both sites. 30-plus minutes against the Pistons, anyone's live. But I would stagger my expectations because the full-strength Magic, Cole Anthony Suggs will be I think Suggs led in usage, Cole Anthony led in fantasy points per minute, stuff like that. So Franz might be third or fourth option. But just from a minute standpoint, the opportunities there against the Pistons, absolutely. But wasn't like a core look for me or anything like that. Next game on the docket, we got the Spurs hosting the Chicago Bulls. Project starting five for the Bulls: Io, DeSumo, Zach LaVine, Javante Green, DeMar DeRozan, and Nikola Vucevic. DeRozan back in San Antonio. Another narrative. So many narratives. So many. I haven't even looked at birthdays. Chat. Why don't you guys look up birthdays today if you want to have a lot of fun? Spurs, DeJounte Murray, Derek White, Dougie McBuckets, Keldon Johnson, and Jakob Pertl. Am I not Pertl enough for the Pertl Club? 231.5 star total, 1.5 point spread in favor of the home team. San Antonio Spurs. The Chicago Bulls being without Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso for the for now. Caruso down for the count. This is leaving LaVine, DeRozan, and Vucevic to kind of pick up the pieces, pick up the usage, and the Bulls really giving us a high predictive value in minutes. I got 35 on DeSumo, 36 on LaVine, 37 on DeRozan, 35 on Vucevic. DeRozan named to the All-Star team yesterday, taking on a Spurs team that has been part of a lot of high total games, 230 totals every day. I feel like the Spurs are in. And if we pull up the team metrics tab in the rundfs.com NBA VIP spreadsheet, you'll find that both Chicago and San Antonio are bottom half in defensive efficiency. I do think Derek White and DeJounte Murray are a little bit scrappier. I know Derek White has some pretty stunning isolated defensive metrics, but for the most part, I'm just going to trust the total here and trust this game to be competitive. So I'm going to want some shares of the Bulls bigs. I think Zach LaVine 7,500 on Fanduel, still a little bit too cheap for his baseline expectation. If I get 40 plus to 7,500, I'm a buyer. DeRozan at 9K to 8,500. I like a lot of his individual stuff for props. I think this is an appropriate price point. I think the risk of LaVine, DeRozan, and Vucevic kind of cannibalizing each other is something that does exist, but because of the total, I'm more willing to get exposure here and maybe set some rules to prevent too much overlap. But when we run the on-off court tool, the numbers we got, I believe I did this on the prop stream as well. I think it was Vucevic leading in points per minute, but just to double check here, let's put DeRozan, Vooch, and LaVine on the court. Matter of fact, we need to probably bring that to this season. I guess it doesn't matter. We'll take off Lonzo and the Caruso. Are you banned on Osmo or no? I don't think I have the pull to unban people, but maybe they'll release the walls sooner or later. So usage wise, we got a 29.5% usage rate on LaVine, 27% usage rate on DeRozan, 24% usage rate on Vucevic. But look at this per minute production on Vooch, almost 1.6 on both sides, 304 possessions, 148 minutes. That's a lot. That's a lot of fantasy points. And Vucevic might absolutely get lost in the sauce because he's potentially not the best Nikola at the center position today. You know what I mean? 8,700 on FanDuel, man. If he got you a 50 bomb, which is what my soft projections have him at, I might be a buyer in that. The Spurs DVP, if you look at that team DVP chart in the rundfs.com NBA VIP spreadsheet, Spurs have been allowing the third most fantasy points per game to opposing bigs. The total, the pace, this high of a total correlated with a lot of shot attempts, a lot of rebounds. So maybe Vucevic does stand out as a potential tournament flyer that could do numbers for us. Vucevic has a fantasy point prop of 41, so I'm above that, and 34.5 PRA, 18.5 real points. I'd probably just look at the fantasy score, but all the Bulls are live for me. And then on Spurs side, DeJounte Murray, he's coming in at 52 fantasy point projection. I think we're all a little bit underwhelmed from that last game, but it wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault. It was the fault or it's the Rockets game I'm talking about. He had 24 minutes against the Rockets, but they blew him out. So like he got hooked and just missed a couple of his props on PrizePicks and like Derek White barely played. I remember somebody came to my channel and topical because somebody somebody just called me out for not speaking in absolutes, but somebody came and barked at me for touting Derek White against the Rockets. They're like, stick to doing favorites, blah, blah, blah. I was like, God dang. I was like, it was a blowout, young blood. Easy, big fella. 30-point swing. He only got 23 minutes. Obviously, he leaves 10 to 12 minutes on the table when they throw in the white flag. So if you wonder why we don't speak in absolutes, because the plebs will come back and make me lose sleep by missing a call, right? 6,100 on Derek White, though. I don't mind having some shares of that price point. And then DeJounte Murray on both sides. I'm looking for 50 plus. That's about where he lives at. And we know there's a little bit of meat on the bone. Every now and then he'll drop a 60 to 70 fantasy point game. So plenty to like here. I think the supplementary plays are a little harder to click with confidence. Sumu's been making some waves. Big minute projection on him. If you agree with the 30 fantasy point projection, I think at 5,500 on FanDuel, he's worth being in the tier 3 area. But for the most part, I'm leaning on DeJounte exposure, and then I will stagger Levine, DeRozan, and Vucevic, each guy having their own case. If we trust metrics over everything, Vucevic projects as the best per minute play. If we trust narrative, DeRozan's got a fun one. And if you like all-star snubs, maybe Levine reminds the world that he exists. So no matter what your process is, there's something there for you. Do you guys have any other Spurs tells? Like Jakob Poeltl's a guy I've been playing, and you want to talk about price difference? 8,500 on FanDuel, 6,400 on DK. That's a $2,000 gap. I mean, that's pretty egregious. So maybe DK is the spot to get our Jakob Poeltl exposure tonight. What up, Ronald Jones? You doing all right? So many good center options. Yeah, Tim, I agree. Hartenstein time for anyone? Did we just get some news? Let me double check the rundfs.com VIP Discord. D-Russ questionable, Patrick Beverly questionable. No, we didn't. Okay, I thought you guys were like waving the Clippers for a reason. Hartenstein, anyone? He's clearly the backup center. Clippers have a plus 17 net rating. With him on the floor. 17.5 net rating. I mean, that's more of a cumulative stat, though, so that could be a little misleading. But I do think he's the backup. But remember, Hartenstein came in the other night when Ty Lue benched all the starters, including Zubac, and he played a ton of minutes that game because Zubac never touched the floor again. That was the game where they were like down 25 at half. So maybe that's jarring some recent numbers. But from a punt standpoint, I guess he makes sense. But that's a risk on a big slate that's probably not something I'm willing to take without definitive news leading me to expect big minutes. Yo, bro, I don't even know how. Weejo 092465. Appreciate that sub, man. Welcome to the channel. Levine can make the All-Star game, just not starting. Well, yes, you know what we mean. All-Star snubs. So you crushed on Top Shot. Why did you quit? The bubble. I'm not that into crypto. Why did I quit Top Shot? Yeah, because there was once you were losing money on packs. Like I was playing just literally for profit because my small brain doesn't understand why people like files like that, but my small brain understands money, and it was one of those. If you got a pack, you were making money no matter what. Now you're liable to lose money.
Use this $4 heat on stream, so no need for beanie.
Damn wrong with the $2 dono. I appreciate that. I have more faith in the blockchain. I love collecting. Yeah, I mean, you guys could read my vibes from earlier, right? If people are enjoying NFTs and crypto, let them. It doesn't bother me, so I don't need. I like I said, I don't spend other people's money, and I don't dog them. So if you guys are having fun playing Top Shot, still go for it. But I was strictly in Top Shot for flipping money, and it seems like that's not as easy to do right now. So I took my money and I got out. Simple as that. Jalen Smith or Stanley Johnson, depending on the Lakers news, right? If the Lakers rule everyone out, I'd probably take a shot on Stanley Johnson. But Jalen Smith has a path to minutes with everyone out for the Suns. I actually took the day off from DFS yesterday. Mark, so did I, man. Sometimes you got to recharge some batteries. I knew I was going to have a really eventful weekend, 2-game slate. And again, like some other people might force content. I knew yesterday was not really my cup of tea, so I didn't even force content. We didn't even do streams or nothing like that, you know. I got a Series 1 reserve pack on Top Shot yesterday. I'm still waiting to rip. That's what's up, yo. I got our boy Shady is in the Discord. He's been on the stream a couple times. Military Cat. He's got like an account with a ton of unopened packs, and you know, one day it'll be fun to rip them. But yeah, some of you guys that have the discipline to not open packs, you know, maybe it'll bounce back. I think it can. Like I don't think it's dead and stinking, but I don't know. I got out, but never say never. It's not like I wouldn't get back in. I love collecting actual cards, and I don't collect cards for money. I just like the I don't know, opening cards, the thrill of maybe getting a good one, and then remembering baseball players. So T-Wolves at the Suns next game on the docket. Project starting five for the T-Wolves. Patrick Beverley maybe, D'Angelo Russell maybe. Crossing over with Anthony Edwards, Jared Vanderbilt, Karl Anthony Towns, the Big Cat, Ernie Ladd taking on Chris Paul, Devin Booker, McCall Bridges, Cameron Johnson, Bismack Biyombo, the Big Mac Bimbo. 230 total, 8.5 point spread favor the Phoenix Suns. So T-Wolves catching night 2 of a back-to-back. Last night, the Minnesota Timberwolves did not have Patrick Beverley going into battle against the Warriors. We saw Jaden McDaniel start with Edwards, Jared Vanderbilt, Karl Anthony Towns, and D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell got injured early in the third quarter and did not come back while the starters finished out. So it wasn't even like the blowout kept him out. You know what I mean? So if Patrick Beverley is still closer to out than in, which I don't know for sure, this could be a game that features neither of those starting guards. And I would... Again, we talked about how midday cues I tend to lean out. A back-to-back where a guy couldn't finish the game last night, I tend to lean out a little bit more. So I would probably be preparing early on for what to do with the Timberwolves with no D-Russ. So what we did on the prop stream was we ran T-Wolves usage rates without D'Angelo Russell. And I'm just going to redo this exercise again here, bring it to the beginning of this year. Vanderbilt's questionable also. Yeah, I guess that would open up Naz Reid. I don't even know what that would open up. Let's put Cat and Edwards on. D-Russ off the court. I also want to preface this by saying it's like an 8.5 point spread, and the Suns are juggernauts, right? But Edwards and Cat on, D-Ross off the court this year. We got a 26.6% usage rate on Cat, 30% usage rate on Edwards. Both these dudes over 1.2 fantasy points per minute. So both pretty viable if you want to put them to somehow stay competitive against the Suns. And like I said, even yesterday while the scoreboard was a little lopsided, T-Wolf stayed out there. So maybe you can get behind them. I think I want to say Cat and Devin Booker are in that circle of guys that play video games together. So that might be fun. But we talked about all-star snubs. I think the biggest snub on the All-Star ticket is probably Devin Booker. So maybe he has one of those statement games. Go for it. If you need that narrative, cool. If you want metrics to put you on Devin Booker, well, he has a 30+% usage rate without DeAndre Ayton on the court while he shares the court with Chris Paul. And he's coming off a pair of games where he just does whatever he wants. The Suns are also without Cameron Payne, Jay Crowder, JaVale McGee. I feel like there's somebody I'm missing, which is, a higher baseline and minute expectations. But in this split without Ayton, with Booker and Paul on, 32.5% usage rate for Devin Booker, a 1.3 fantasy point per minute. So plenty of reason to like Devin Booker straight up. His price point has gotten to a well-earned 9.4 on Fanduel, 9.9 on DK. So he's not that free AK square, but he's still got some upside here, especially if you take out Patrick Beverley on the other side. I got him at 38 minutes. I mean, that's 30+% usage at 38 minutes is something that I will be an investor in. And then Chris Paul, ever since drawing a blank, ever since Cameron Payne went down, Chris Paul has seen 37, 41, 40, 37 minutes. So Chris Paul's playing deep minutes himself, and we know he's involved in a lot of playmaking duties and responsibilities. Just 5 assists in that last outing against Utah. Usually a walking double-double with assists. So plenty of reason to like him. I don't mind putting him and Booker together. Maybe this game goes crazy. You get a Booker, Paul versus Cat Edwards lineup, right? If you had no D-Russ, you had no Patrick Beverly, and maybe you can sprinkle in the value if the Lakers news goes the right way. That could be a fun way to attack this slate. With a 230 total here. He said Vanderbilt was questionable. I missed that on my initial injury report. Let me see if I can get the update on that. Appreciate you guys. If I ever miss news, please let me know in chat. I will not be offended. I don't see it on NBC Sports Edge. I don't see it questionable for Friday due to a right foot sprain. So midday questionables, right? So we might get McDaniels, Torrent Prince, Naz Reid. I don't know if I'm running to play the backup in that situation, but something to keep an eye on for sure. For sure. On the Sun side, Bismack Biyombo as well. We mentioned no DeAndre Ayton, no JaVale McGee. 6-3 on FanDuel, 58 on DraftKings. I'm getting 30 plus fantasy points as this projection pretty liberally. I actually had him for like even more than 40 an hour ago. I tightened some screws a little bit. I'm still getting him at 41.5. And if you're on PrizePicks, they have his fantasy prop at 26. It was at 25. We're moving the line, but I'm still getting a ton of opportunity on the over here. So a boy who asked me for my lock, I'm gonna go all in essentially on Biyombo over 20. I had him at 25. I'll probably still lay action on 26 because I'm getting almost a 14-point discrepancy, 15 versus my projections, and the minutes have been there, right? No Ayton, no McGee. Biyombo has a real shot to play 30 minutes again. And the matchup's a little bit different. I feel like they would have maybe handled him with Vandy a little bit, and then maybe put out Bridges and Johnson a little bit more, but with Cat. But nonetheless, like 30 minutes seems to be there for Biyombo. He was getting this with McGee point blank. So 26 seems pretty soft on Biyombo. So I'll take some action on that. If you guys want to tell that and you're not on PrizePicks, get on PrizePicks. You need to be there. It's a lot of fun. It's a great way to dramatically decrease how overwhelming these big slates can be. And a great way to increase your first deposit is to sign up using code GUNDACKER, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100. So if you sign up, you just throw $20 at them. They'll make it $40, and even more incentive today. Their happy hour, their Friday happy hour promotion, I believe I read it's good until 8 p.m., which means the minimum bet is not $5, it's $1. So that $20, you can really have some fun throwing some $1 tickets out there and, just spraying and praying some 10Xs, right? So give it a shot, sign up, use code GUNDACKER, and we've been pumping out the PrizePicks content like crazy here. So hopefully some of that will help you in your daily hunt. Tea time, man. I appreciate that sub. Welcome to the channel, buddy. If you're watching live, or shout out to you, man. You're the GOAT. You're the GOAT. Will McDaniels get more minutes? Probably. Heck, he started yesterday, right? Yeah, he started yesterday. So 32. How much more than 32 could you ask for, right? Why does the Knicks Bucks game start at 10? I was wondering that myself, Tim. But the whenever I see a game at a weird start time, I assume either it was a makeup COVID game or a TV flex. Like, I don't know if that game's on national TV, but maybe they wanted the Bucks game on national TV at that time slot. But it is a weird time slot, right? Nobody cares about that game, so they made it as late as possible. Yeah, I don't know. Westbrook game time decision now as well. I had him questionable earlier. A couple weeks ago, Nets Bulls game started late like that, also in Chicago. PrizePicks so much more fun than DFS lately. Scott, it is blowing up, man. You're seeing it on this channel. I'm not blind, right? I watch the trends. I watch what's getting clicks, what's getting views. PrizePicks ended last year with over 300,000 users, and the content is exploding. I'm seeing some channels go from 500 subs to 1,000 to 2,000, and I think that's the wave of the future. I've always thought that the death of DFS would be sportsbook related, but DFS players have literally been trained to be great prop hunters. And I think that's why our transition is so much smoother, because we don't have to wrestle with the salary, the salary restrictions, the multi-entry stuff like that. And we're not necessarily, we're not facing each other, right? When we're attacking these props, it's us versus the house. House always wins, but it's definitely an incredible way to simplify these overwhelming slates like this one, where news is just like nerfs your lineup, and you get to be more selective on what you're actually sweating. So it's definitely worth having in your pocket to diversify your daily spending. And I'm still in these DFS streets. You're not gonna see me leave, but I would be remiss to ignore how much traction PrizePicks is getting. I would also be remiss to not plug RunDFS.com. If you guys want to access to the spreadsheet, my projections, my premium Discord, go to RunDFS.com, click VIP memberships. You see, we have millionaires. Shout out to the homie ABP. The only reason I want to shout him out because he's in Arizona right now. He'll be competing for another $1 million this weekend, this Sunday, the 2-game NFL slate. If he were to win that, it would be his third milli maker in like a year and a half. So shout out to him. All the good vibes to him, representing the fam out there. But he is part of the community. Like I always say, we have millionaires, thousandaires, hundredaires, whatever your bankroll is. I don't care if you're balling on a budget or you're just letting it rip. As long as you ain't got an ego and you want to see each other be great, you're welcome in my Discord, man. Come to RunDFS.com. Get a week pass. Get a 2-week pass. We have 2 of these all-star passes left. If you want one of these, I have a promo code left. I forget if it's 20%. I have a promo code that way. I think it's let me see. I'll just type it in. Have the coupon. I think it's Wild. We left that one up. So Wild would save you like $30. So if you guys want that, I would probably take advantage of that now. That'll get you locked in until July. Coupon code WILD for less than $300. That's ridiculous. So take advantage of that. That's not going to last much longer. They only set aside 10, and like 6 of them went off immediately. And then every day before lock, we're in the pre-lock Discord. Now today, my voice chat, I'm only gonna be there for an hour, and then I gotta jump on the Osmo live before lock show. But I will be there for the next hour. But I will have my player pool and projections up for you guys in the spreadsheet. So go check that out. 2 million gun. It's 1 milli for sec. Oh, okay. Wait, I thought he said, okay, so it's 2 million for first, 1 milli for second. So yeah, he could really flip it. That'd be huge. Elvis says, how often are your PrizePicks hitting? I haven't swapped over yet. I don't know who to really follow when it comes to them. I think PrizePicks is a test of player discipline, right? Because it's not a 1-to-1, right? I always say if you have access to sports books and betting player props individually, like that's probably the better move, and then you could parlay those as better odds. But if you don't have sports books in your area, it's a good way to get access to just betting those. But they have a power play format, which you have to get everything on your card right, or flex play, which leaves you some room for losing and still making some money. The average gambler is not going to the flex play. They see that 10x. So PrizePicks is what you make of it. It's what you put in and what your disciplined expectations are, right? If you back up your power plays with some flexes and some cash game levels of ROI, like I think it's very profitable. It's been nice to me. It's been nice to everyone in the Discord. Fish has like grinded a couple K. We even see Raj winning. But you have to respect that there's a lot of variance in getting 4 out of 4 or 5 out of 5. So you got to be responsible, but it's still a lot of fun to play. Kiefer says I'm moving to Arizona from Chicago. Arizona is allowed in Chicago. They just opened up there last year. Beautiful to hear. Going for the million. Love it. Yes. Going for it again. All right. Main event tonight. Bucks hosting the Knicks. Weirdest late night hammer game ever. Project starting five for the Knicks: Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson, taking on Drew Holiday, Grayson Allen, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Bobby Portis. So we got 217 total, with a 9-point spread in favor of the Milwaukee Bucks. We're at 6114 subscribers, by the way. Like, it's nuts. 100. We might get 120 subs this week, and we took Thursday off. 9-point spread for the Bucks. So yeah, a yucky game, right? We get the slow-paced Knicks, one of the slowest paces in all of basketball. Priced appropriately through and through. No warm and fuzzies, especially on DraftKings. 92 Julius Randle. We're not really running to that. I guess if you're looking for late night hammer opportunities, Giannis Antetokounmpo has every bit of 70 fantasy point potential. His price point is going to cost you. Needs to lead the slate in scoring. And there's a guy like Nikola Jokic on the slate that projects just a little bit better. So there's not much that I'm forcing into action tonight, but I would let maybe up to 10% Giannis in my Fanduel exposures. And Bobby Portis is always priced a little bit too cheap. His success rate at this price when everyone's active hasn't been as high as I would like it, but I don't mind it. Against the Knicks this season, he's averaging 26 minutes a game, 28 fantasy points, so over a fantasy point per minute. And those 26 minutes probably go to 30, 32 minutes here. So I don't mind looking his way. What was his last? Let's see. Did he go bananas from 3 one game? 24 and 24 minutes. No, 24 and 21. So I guess the game prior must have went nuts with it. Yeah, I think this whole game was like tier 3 at best for me. Do you guys have any strong leans here? And then I got maybe 10 minutes before I got to get out of here. Do you guys have any talking points or questions, comments, concerns regarding the slate in general? We'll revisit something. I don't see any news lately other than the Vanderbilt. Oh, we got no, that's for tomorrow. I think we're good. Jesus H, what am I reading? PrizePicks just went legal in Colorado, thank God. That's fun. Didn't Colorado already have sports betting? Colorado was one of the states I was thinking about moving to. God, I really want access to sports betting legally. Like, I don't want to have to do offshore crypto, you know what I mean? So when you help the people play DFS daily, don't be surprised when you're rich and have 100K subs someday. Maybe. DFS, creating content for DFS, man, it's got to be one of the hardest YouTube markets to get in to get in and be successful in. Because if you don't know what you're talking about, you'll get exposed pretty quickly. And then you can't, like, your content, like, this stream is irrelevant in 2 hours, right? No one's going to watch it ever again. Like, so it's a hard market to get into. So believe me when I say I'm humbled and appreciative of any of you guys that are regulars in the chat that keep coming back. Like I said, looking at the RunDFS.com VIP list, man, very rare do people subscribe once. Like, they keep coming. So let's know we're doing something right. But man, it is a grind. It is a grind to stay to continue to grow, which is why I'm so open to helping others. By the way, let's talk about this schedule, because I forgot to mention. Yeah, we got a couple of Osmo shows. We got Osmo today live before lock, Osmo in the morning with EMAC, Osmo Monday morning with Eric, and then Monday afternoon, look for me on DFS Coach Talk YouTube channel. I'll be looking at that night slate, and then of course we have the PrizePicks and DFS stream on Monday. Next week, looked at Monday ahead of time. Next week, it's full hands on deck, chat. You guys ready to grind this one? We're going to have a 2-week sabbatical from football. Look at Monday and beyond. 2, 4, 6, 8 on Monday, 2, 4, 6, 7 on Tuesday, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 on Wednesday, 2, 4, 6 on Thursday, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 on Friday. There's no days off next week, all right? We jumping in it. So I need you guys to be charged up after Sunday's games of football, and then get in the saddle because it's about to go down. Next week's going to be wide open, and then of course no football next weekend, so you might even get a solid all day slate, and then we keep it going. Right? There's really no punt nights coming up between now and the All-Star break. It looks like there's a 2-game slate on the 13th, and that's it. Everything between now and the 13th is like really, really playable, outside of maybe an all-day Sunday slate. So be ready. I'm expecting you guys to bring the fire, not just me, you guys. Can you rank top 3 tournament centers on Fanduel tonight? So for center position on Fanduel, when it's really, really important to win the position, I would be selling out for raw fantasy points. Jokic 1, Cat potentially even better than he is projecting now, just based on D'Angelo Russell maybe not being in. And then Yusuf Nurkic, I got him for 50 fantasy points at 8,300. I mean, that's huge for the price point. So those are probably my top 3. With Nurkic, I would probably have Nurkic over Cat right now if D. Russ and Beverly played, because it's still a 9-point spread, and Nurkic is, in a 230 total 1-point spread, and points per dollar, that extra 1,000 for 1 point, you know what I mean? But if D. Russ got rolled out, I could probably boost to Cat a little bit more. But Fanduel, my top 3 centers, Jokic, Cat, and Nurkic. Wait, Jokic, yeah, Cat and Nurkic, yep. Simons and Nurkic are Hero and Bam. Hero and Bam would be contingent on Jimmy Butler not playing for me. So for now, probably Simons and Nurkic just to have exposure to that 230 total. Would really like McCollum, but Simons and Nurkic is fine. But Hero and Bam will look really nice if Jimmy Butler takes the night off. Pretty cool to see you grow and even going up. Man, I appreciate that, Joseph. Ready for the grind next week? Yeah, it's about to go down. Gun, did you used to do baseball podcasts? Yes, I still do. I will still have full coverage for baseball. We just don't have it right now, but baseball, I'm built different. The thing with baseball is you guys ain't gonna be here for baseball. Our baseball chats are like, this year we got to like 60, but most of you guys ain't gonna care about baseball. So yes, I do break my foot off in baseball content, but you guys don't care. You do not care. I guess that's it. Chat, I gotta get into Discord because I got an early hook. But I appreciate you guys giving me some of your time on a Friday afternoon. Join me again in an hour and some change on the Osmo channel. Join me tomorrow morning on Osmo with Emac. Join me Monday morning on Osmo with Eric. Monday afternoon with the coach on DFS Coach Talks channel. And then Monday afternoon, I'll be back on this channel. There might be a stream tomorrow afternoon for PrizePicks. If not, expect a video from Luke. I'm going to the Discord voice chat for an hour. Go get a VIP membership at rundfs.com. Come hang out. Let's crush the weekend. Royal Rumble tomorrow. Might do some squares. Hit me up on Twitter, twitter.com/Gundacker. I love you guys. Good luck. God bless. And go win some money.